Hello, so lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is EPHESIANS to present. And our top stories in the news tonight. Over 300 families affected by floods in MUMBWA district may need relief food. Government challenged to ensure timely release of CDF in 2023. Former UPND Alliance member MWENYA says President Hakainde Hichilema has abandoned his partners. In international news, a known disease kills at least 10 in Equatorial Guinea. On sports news, South African rugby player killed by Hawaii police had CTE.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours Monday to Friday at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Hello again, another news in detail. A family of 13 in Lusaka's Kamwala South has been left in the cold after part of their family house collapsed on Friday, 3rd February 2023 during a heavy downpour. Speaking to Camnet News, owner of the house, Thomas Tembo, says the family has also been robbed of their source of income as their tenants who were living next door have shifted due to the floods in the area. The family has since called for long-lasting solutions to the problem of floods to see to it that similar problems are not experienced during the next rainy season. More in this report.
This family of Quarry area in Lusaka's Kamwala South is sleeping in this house which has one side of the wall missing after the wall fell off over 1 week ago during a heavy downpour, leaving the family exposed both to the rain as well as to potential thieves. Mr. Thomas Tembo, who is the owner of the house, says that he, along with his wife and 7 children, as well as some dependents, have been left destitute, adding that this was the family house and they have nowhere to go. He further states that while those who are more affluent in society are able to hire private companies to help them unblock their toilets, many cannot afford private companies as they are charging as high as 1,500 kwacha to unblock the toilets which have been submerged.
So stinga kwanise mwanda wa toilet yakwa taenda uzunguruka kwenda kusakira ma toilet stinga kwanise tufuna kutitandizirako fast because kuli neighbors vina mwana ndalama babukinga wajaona bolo pompola ni 1.5 minus 1.5 tilibe so tipempa kwa mina ngakwanise kutitandizirako tingereko free mukuyenda ku ma toilet.
Meanwhile, his wife, Mercy Piri, has also spoken on the situation, which she says has left her children unable to go to school as their books have been soaked.
Onse walenje wanachoka mnyumba. So, nina wana 7 na osunga wali 6. Pamozi tili 13. So tigona chabe panja bani hapa nafaka chabe chitendi chabe kuliwamela na pasako chitendi ndi chameti nafakako. So tigona chabe panja pamene hapa pameti gona. So ya tavutika tenzo pembako chabe tandizo mwandini kuliwamene wangatitandizeko che. Wangatitandizeko tilibena ndrama wale ndi wonse wanaenda siwalipo pana. So mwandini tenzo pembako chabe tandizo ndi ameti pembako ali wonse amanga vile chifundo pometi ngalira ngatitandizeko.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Mainda Simata says the Zambia National Service has promised to move in and have the water removed from the houses using their machines.
Following my visit to DMMU yesterday with members of the community, we were assured to say they will deploy some water pumps and also relief in terms of tents and food stuff and non-food items for the over 50 households that have their houses submerged. So as of yesterday, we only had one water pump that was deployed near St. Lawrence area in Kamwala South. We have been told the other two water pumps would be deployed, but we haven't seen them as of today. I'm on the ground right now.
For now, this family will have to look for a place to stay as they try to renovate their home, which has become inhabitable. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some families in MUMBWA district of Central Province, whose farms have been destroyed due to floods and their houses brought down, have lamented how they will survive the harsh reality. An estimated 100 houses built within 2 wards of Shimbizia and Nambala have been affected, among other wards. Among those affected is 66-year-old Josephine Kapotwe of Nambala ward, who narrated to the media in an interview that all her maize fields have been destroyed beyond recovery. This came to light when Central Province Minister, who is also MUMBWA Central Member of Parliament, visited the area in the company of the Muslim community, who went to offer relief food for some affected families on Saturday. More in this report.
The flooding situation experienced in most parts of the country has left a trail of destruction, leading to no hope of recovery from the loss of the crops. The West hit thus far as Central, Southern and Eastern provinces, where some families are already calling for relief food as all their crops were grazed due to the rains experienced. MUMBWA's Nambala area in Central Province is one such area where some farms and houses have been destroyed, forcing the occupants to seek alternative shelter. Josephine Kapotwe, a subsistence farmer, told the media Saturday afternoon that her 1-hectare maize field has been washed away, leaving her no choice but to wait for relief food.
Tukashanga mu December. Then imvura izaita kuti yakweza kuona mu 28 yatira. Itire menji akeza manji menji kuvuka koko. Batutumina foni bakwa mnengo ati koko na muri kumunda muvweko. So tokeza twachita kuti twaita kunambara. Twakadilwa kuranduka twambenga kuyanikisha menji nga kutolereja. Kuseni kwakaena kuyakwiza kusaka mono monse menji. Akavalinga. Twakakara 1 week tatuizi kumunda. Chimopone naza mapopo ali kumurundurundu achiroka yazonauka.
Mene vinafika ninzo shock chakuteoro kumunda nakangi wa first kubwera. Paka na brana sonjera kwa kubwera kupeza manzi monse muno. So kaya this year ngati tezankara bwanji ngati zati bwanji mone soya indana manzi kaya bana ngati nzapereka bwanji ku skulu kudya pa nyumba kaya.
Speaking when he checked some of the flood victims in MUMBWA, Central Province Minister Credo Nanjoa explains that government is working on a plan which will help reduce flooding for the farmers in the area, which he says has been a perennial thing since 2020.
His Excellency, when he came here, he mentioned of coming up with dams now, bigger dams to conserve this water, prevent it from running down, because from here it will get into the plain. From the plain it is in the Kafue River. Kafue River there, it goes into Zambezi River, down to the ocean. This we should protect. Otherwise, we'll be having floods. After 3 months, we don't have water to drink. It doesn't make sense. Chivila Dam now, when we are talking, it's full. Even at the end of the year, it will still have water. When the rains starts coming, Chivila Dam has got no way exit until again the water levels goes high and all of it starts passing. When it drops, again it gets stuck. But if there is a way that when the rain season is coming, we start letting the other water start moving, then we'll be able to conserve the water properly.
Meanwhile, the Muslim community has since donated food hampers to the flood victims amounting to over 300,000 kwacha to about 350 families.
But after coming to know that some places, areas of our country have been afflicted, befallen with this calamity, we came up with an initiative of donating food hampers to the affected areas. A few days ago, we were on Southern Province in Monze, and today we are here, so we shall be here tomorrow. The donations that we are donating are actually equivalent to 300,000 kwacha plus, and there are 900 food hampers that we are donating today and tomorrow.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
Some Mutendere residents have lamented that the potholes on the main roads in the area have now turned into drainages. Those residents spoken to have wondered why their civic leaders have taken too long to lobby for resources to have roads worked on, causing them to develop potholes with sizes like that of a drainage. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Boniface Chiveka says the Road Development Agency is responsible for funding the roads and have not yet responded to the call to have the roads worked on, further stating that he fears the ward may be cut off from other parts of Lusaka if the local authority does not move in to fix the problem. More in this report.
The delays to have works on the main roads in Lusaka's Mtendere compound worked on has led to the roads developing potholes with the size of drainages. This road that leads to Mtendere Clinic, the only health post in the area, has become almost impassable, and the residents have wondered why the leaders have taken too long to lobby for resources to have the road worked on.
Potholes, and they are not even potholes, as to say. They are drainages, so to say. So this is the same road that the ambulances use whenever carrying patients from one angle to the other, and it is also the same road that leads to Mtendere Health Clinic. So in this bad state in which it is, it becomes very dangerous for the patients now to be sustained in that ambulance. So to the authorities that be, it can be prudent for them to take keen interest in putting up this infrastructure.
So, once you bad state, tingapempeko chenga ti boma ngatandizeko pali road. Otherwise, tisekeramo because timampezeka sometimes usiku mapezeka na problem.
But Area Councillor Boniface Chibeka, when approached, says he is afraid that the ward may be completely cut off from other parts of Lusaka due to the poor state of 5 key roads in the area, further stating that he has on several occasions tried to engage the Lusaka City Council Engineering Department on the matter, but has gotten no positive response.
From that, even if they are going to work on the CDF, there are those internal roads, but those key roads which are supposed to be mended or worked on either by Lusaka City Council or Road Development Agency, nothing is being done. And I've been going to see relevant offices over the roads, but nothing up to now, nothing is happening. So my question is that, is Mtendere not part of Lusaka or what? Or are the people of Mtendere not part of Lusaka or what? Because I believe they are also taxpayers. They are also taxpayers, and we also have a lot of passerby through Mtendere and those who sojourn in the ward.
And the Mtendere Ward Development Committee WDC Secretary Owen Mudenda says most roads that were earmarked for funding under CDF have already been worked on, and says the delays to have the main roads worked on is a source of concern.
Fortunately, under CDF covered the roads that needed to be graded, but apparently they are not covered under CDF, but can only appeal to relevant authorities like RDA, because these roads fall under RDA, Road Development Agency.
And efforts to get a comment from the area member of Parliament, Mike Imposha, failed as he never responded to this reporter. For now, motorists using these roads will have to endure the pain of having their cars damaged due to the bad state of the road in the area. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A 48-year-old woman of Lusaka's Garden House has called on members of the general public to help her find a job so that she can continue to look after her 44-year-old disabled sister and her 72-year-old mother. Monica Makai has told Camnet News that she was working as a volunteer counselor at Dombo Clinic in the area under a USAID-funded project, which has since come to an end, leaving her with no source of income. She narrates that she is failing to provide for her disabled sister, who's living with cerebral palsy, because she cannot afford to buy her the necessities she requires when answering the call of nature. She says in her 48 years, she has never been married and has no children, as most of her time has been spent looking after her sister and her mother. More in this report.
Her daily activity starts with her checking on a sick 44-year-old sister who cannot move or walk as she lives with cerebral palsy, a group of disorder that affects a person's ability to move and maintain balance and posture. Monica Mukai, a 48-year-old woman of Lusaka's Garden House, is taking care of a 72-year-old mother and 44-year-old disabled sister while she remains unemployed. She tells this reporter that she was working as a volunteer counselor at Dombo Clinic under a project funded by USAID, which has come to an end, leaving her jobless. She now narrates her daily challenges.
So, you upaku awonja chemba munganda bakusamba ninchito muri fyonse mufai kwa fekano komwenya nshibomba nale bomba na bajesai so since bajesai bali yobo twalesa makwankana awo yalishuka baba kwati abana bena aba bakwati bachitenani kandi memory yali bakofirya kumatepo bafulira baba chumani shoku na stress so apa 15 so bali salu banokuluga twabasangire pa 15 January amishi kushitatu shonse balokwa ke nemfula bafumile ke munganda kwati nabashongotila kunuma kanshe fyo bayile.
Miss Mukai has since called on well-wishers to help her find a job so that she can continue taking care of her old mother and disabled sister, as they are both not registered on the social cash transfer program and have no other relatives to help her.
Wati mutiteshani muinga tumfako mutumoneko na ifwe makamaka abanensolanga mwafurisha na wheelchair nangwama well-wishers oveta muchisungwa tama well-wishers nangula ninchito tina abakwati ndesanga kwendala masha kwati ndesungira mwaba bantu tata yangu kamwe bana bakwalisa babadi abata bakwayo kunje umusalu bakwati otwanungila ukota.
When asked about her husband, Miss Mukai says she has never been married in her 48 years and has no children, as she spent most of her time looking after her sister, which has been not easy considering that she has to change her whenever she answers the call of nature. Her welfare now lies on well-wishers who will help her get a job, as the task on her hand is huge. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda says the non-governmental organizations in the country expect the draft NGO bill to be presented to Parliament during its first session to see to it that this law is repealed and replaced. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Nyirenda says NGOs in the country need an expanded civic space if to operate fully noting that the current NGO Act number 16 of 2009 is restrictive in some areas and works against democracy. He notes that repealing and replacing the current NGO Act will not only ensure enhancement of democracy, but will also see NGOs working in more coordinated manners.
Now, the current or the bill is bringing in the aspect of coordination, but it is also bringing in the aspect of self-regulations or regulation by the NGOs. But also it seeks to broaden the space and not shrink the space for NGOs to engage and to complement with government. So we expect that as Parliament opens on the 14th of February, we expect that that is one of the bills that will be tabled in this life of Parliament, this session of Parliament, or the first quarter of this year. And we do not expect anything less than that, because then I think NGOs and civil society generally has done a lot for this country, and we expect that even as we celebrate the World NGO Day, which falls on the 27th of February this year, we expect that policy pronouncements and direction from the government and the head of state will be made with regards to us ensuring that now we get to the dead end of ensuring that we repeal and replace the NGO Act, which is draconian.
The Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, CSPR, has challenged government to ensure a timely release of funds under the Constituency Development Funds CDF if the resources are to serve the intended purpose. In an interview with Camnet News, Organization Programs Coordinator Eddie Musosa says the ever-changing economic fundamentals such as the cost of fuel, inflation rate and the exchange rate will continue to negatively affect the implementation of projects if resources are not released on time. Mr. Musosa says most business proposals have a time limit, which if resources are delayed, the kwacha would have lost value by the time the project is being funded. Meanwhile, Youth Movement for Positive Change Zambia Chairman Felix Piri says most youths in the country have remained ignorant on how to access resources under CDF, thus calling on government to partner with other organizations to increase awareness. More in this report.
The delays in the release of the Constituency Development Fund CDF by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has been cited as being a reason why some projects being funded under CDF are likely to fail. The Civil Society for Poverty Reduction CSPR Programs Coordinator Eddie Musosa has advised the government to ensure the timely release of CDF in 2023 if the impact of the 28.3 million kwacha allocated to each constituency is to be felt. Mr. Musosa has cited that most business proposals that government wishes to fund under CDF has a timeline attached to it and says if government delays to release the resources, factors such as inflation rate, exchange rate and fuel prices will come into play, thereby negatively affecting the implementations of the projects.
Some of these funds which were not utilized in the year 2022 have been carried over in the financial year 2023. Now, if you look at the value of the fund or the budget which they had put in their proposals in 2022, given the obtaining cost of goods and services then and what the actual cost of those goods and services are going to be this year, it is going to affect the effective implementation of those projects. We are therefore urging the local government authorities that in order to avoid a similar situation, we must ensure that funds which were carried over from 2022 are accessed by the beneficiaries, especially those who are expecting and who are supposed to be executing projects as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, Youth Movement for Positive Change Zambia National Chairman Felix Piri says his organization has been carrying out a research across the country and has established that most youths are still ignorant on how to access CDF, hence calling on government to partner with other stakeholders to increase awareness among the youths on how they can access CDF funding.
Our organization is in all the provinces. We've got provincial coordinators in all the provinces, and we are receiving reports every week on the survey that we've had. So in the first place, we had in the first round we had a survey. We asked all the provincial coordinators to submit their reports on how youths have responded to the CDF project, and they've given us the report. So the response is very poor, and the reason being people are not aware. They're not well informed. They just know the name about CDF, but they don't know on how to go about it. They don't know on how, the procedure. How do you acquire this CDF fund?
Despite the Ministry of Finance having released 25.7 million kwacha to each constituency in 2022, the absorption of the resources still remained very low, hence the need to ensure that things are done differently in 2023 if the impact of CDF on the Zambian people is to be felt. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Advocates for People's Prosperity, APP President MWENYA has alleged that the United Party for National Development UPND alliance partners are not motivated to offer advice to the head of state on governance matters because most of them feel abandoned. In an interview, Mr. Musenge has charged that the UPND alliance is in disarray, stating that political parties have either been swallowed through appointment of their leaders while others have been abandoned. Meanwhile, the APP leader has called for more transparency by the current administration on governance issues, stating that they are answerable to citizens as they voted them into office. More in this report.
Citizens across the country have been demanding that they want to see promises that were made by the United Party for National Development UPND during its campaigns actualized, with some accusing them of making unrealistic promises, such as those on reduced fuel prices and meal prices. While the current administration has been going through this pressure, the opposition advocates for people's prosperity, APP, through its president MWENYA, have questioned the silence from some UPND alliance partners, alleging that alliance partners are hardly helping the government to offer answers to its citizens. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. MUSENGE states that history in Zambia shows that alliances never work, charging that they're simply used by some political parties to amass voters.
And there is no avenue for them to even sit on the same table and advise our colleagues in government. They don't. There is literally nothing. The door has already been shut in their faces. So the only thing what is existing is just my name. And even when they address, have you ever heard of Babadi talking about UPND and the alliance partners? They don't talk about it. It is a forgotten story. They were used. They used them to get where they are today. And now, since they've achieved whatever they've achieved, they don't even talk about them. If you ask me, or you ask them today, find any one of them, they will tell you that they are actually in distress. They don't even know what to do.
The APP president also states that there is need for the UPND to be more transparent with citizens on various issues in the country, noting that they are servants of the people as they were voted in through the ballot.
But because everything is being done in secrecy, it becomes a problem. You're going to contract a debt, the Zambian people, they don't know. Where you've gotten the 24 million US dollars that you are paying for the Congolese left by PF for the load shedding they had during that time, we don't know where that money is coming from. So if you are able to indicate, even when you look at ZESCO, it's a company. Okay, they're producing power. It's a company that belongs to the Zambian people. The Zambian people are supposed to be benefiting from it. You are talking about what do you call the dividends. We want to know, has it been making profit? The money that they make, where does it go? How is it utilized?
He has reminded the UPND of its duty to ensure that its campaign promises are actualized during its 5-year mandate, stating that Zambians cannot continue to feed on promises. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet Television Main News. We'll take our first commercial break. We'll be back with more news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Leadership Movement Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma has urged the ruling administration to prioritize the creation of jobs that will result in increased production in the country. Addressing the media Saturday morning, Mr. Ngoma notes that the current administration has been creating employment opportunities in the education and health sectors while leaving productive industries such as agriculture lagging. He adds that increasing employment opportunities in the agriculture sector will not only provide a source of income for many citizens, but will also see increased food security. The party Secretary General says the Zambia National Service ZNS stands as an open opportunity to ensure this dream is actualized through engaging many unemployed youths who are roaming the streets.
Why can they use those 3 state farms? Because as we told them, that was a good way to go, and we knew that educated or not, our young people are going to be employed in these state farms, and we can make a lot of money out of it. They were supposed to, by now, they buy another Challenger. That's when they can tell us at the end of Pulisa, Ndeke. Are we still manufacturing airplanes here in Zambia, or we should continue selling these jets at the expense of food? So let them do selective reverse, these people. We want them to attend to food. Food, whether they like it or not, Bafunika Chabe, there's a solution, because you cannot be telling, we are getting funny statements. No, Osatia Maningi roll breakfast, Yambanu Kuja roll meal. Now, where do they stay, these people? Because you have been grown up by this step of food.
Zambia Concerned Youth spokesperson Veni Musonda has alleged that the revised pricing index under the current administration will lead to the delivery of substandard goods by suppliers contracted by the government. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Musonda says government in its revised pricing index is underpricing, which will lead to suppliers going for cheap products in order for them to also make profit. He says the controlled priced index has also defeated the purpose of bidding, and in the long run will lead to corruption, which the current administration is fighting. He has since advised the government to consider revising the pricing index on the monthly basis, putting into consideration economic fundamentals that have been changing on a monthly basis due to the monthly fuel review. Price indexing is a component or clause of a contract that is used by businesses and governments to adjust payments or charges to take account of changes in categories of prices.
The price index that the new government has put in place, it's something that calls for cause, and it's a concern to suppliers that are supplying government and everyone that is doing business with government. Because when you look at the review of this index, it's done every 4 months, 3 to 4 months. And we have prices of fuel that escalate or change each and every month. And these are not affected, the price index is not affected. But the prices of goods and commodities are affected. Even when you look at the fluctuation of the dollar, it's more like on a daily basis. Going further also, when you look at the prices that they've put and then you compare with the prices that are on the market, you find that it's like they've gone to quote the lowest instead of quoting what is suitable. So these will in turn bring in issues to do with low quality of goods being supplied to government, because this is what the suppliers can get at the prices that the government has put in. Then also when you look at the controlled price index, it also makes you worry and wonder why we are having bids going to supply. Because why are we bidding because the essence of bidding is to find who's giving a better and fair price to the government. But it's already controlled. So it now narrows down to a government that is fighting corruption, still comes up and still promotes corruption.
Kalumbila District Commissioner Brenda Sankisa has commended Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, for the Cash for Work JICA Hope project, which is supporting farmers in the Maheba resettlement scheme under the Local Integration Initiative in Kalumbila District, Northwestern Province. Ms. Sankisa, who encouraged the newly graduated farmers and the youths to form cooperatives and apply for Constituency Development Fund (CDF), called for the proper utilization of the knowledge and skills acquired to better their lives. The district commissioner was speaking when she officiated at the graduation ceremony of 40 students in bricklaying and plastering held at Zone F in Maheba Refugee Resettlement Scheme of Kalumbila District. The district commissioner, however, disclosed that government, through the Department of Land Resettlement in the Office of the Vice President, has so far demarcated and allocated land to over 1,500 settlers in Maheba Resettlement Scheme under the Local Integration Initiative. More in this report.
They have every reason to celebrate. These are farmers and the youths of Maheba Resettlement Scheme under Local Integration Initiative in Kalumbila District. They have graduated and acquired the skills in bricklaying and plastering. Kalumbila District Commissioner Brenda Sankisa was in Maheba Resettlement and graced the event.
I'm very thankful to the government of the Republic of Zambia. This is specifically through the Department of Resettlement, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, and all other donors for coming on board to enhance the resettlement program in Maheba. Allow me to say thank you to the people of Japan through the JICA Hope project for this noble gesture of supporting and financing the training of a total of 40 youths. Please be rest assured of my government support and positive collaboration towards the noble cause.
Pochisanga is the Principal Land Resettlement Officer for Northwestern Province.
Our intention is that once these people graduate and then the other farmers, when they come into the resettlement and they want to put up infrastructure, we thought that we can be using the students that have been trained locally so that we don't source manpower from outside, but the people that are locally here that have been trained and help in building infrastructure in the resettlement schemes.
Sorez Skills is the institution of learning behind the trainings of these farmers.
Happy to note that we have been recognized as an institution to be one of the good training institutes in Solwezi. Take this opportunity to appreciate the new Don government, recognizing the skills development, the policy to sponsor youths under the Community Development Fund, CDF. This is a welcome move and cannot go unnoticed.
Graduates are excited with the support rendered by government and its cooperating partners.
Lizavula kuti ma students twapangana kutanga mule workshop yetu ya bricklaying.
On behalf of my fellow graduating students, we thank government and its cooperating partner, JICA, for the support.
Earlier, the district commissioner, with her entourage, inspected the houses constructed by the graduating students in the resettlement scheme. The support received would definitely improve their livelihoods in the communities. Krivat Tuta, reporting in Kalumbila District, Northwestern Province.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 07 55 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
For immediate
coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. And in international news tonight, health authorities in Equatorial Guinea have quarantined more than 200 people and imposed movement restrictions on Friday after an unknown illness killed at least 10 people. The outbreak was reported on Tuesday. According to preliminary investigations, the deaths were linked to people who took part in a funeral ceremony. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Health authorities in Equatorial Guinea have quarantined more than 200 people and imposed movement restrictions on Friday after an unknown illness killed at least 10 people. The outbreak was reported on Tuesday. According to preliminary investigations, the deaths were linked to people who took part in a funeral ceremony. Symptoms of the disease include fever, weakness, bleeding and diarrhea. Guinea's health minister, Metoa Hondo Ayakaba, announced that the government sent samples to neighboring Gabon and Senegal for further investigations. Following the announcement, neighboring Cameroon imposed movement restrictions along the border with Equatorial Guinea.
From the air and on the ground, exhausted firefighters are trying to control forest fires that are devastating south-central Chile. But they're battling sweltering heat and strong winds as the fires keep spreading. In areas where the fires have been extinguished, locals are just starting to assess the damage. In the town of Colico, teacher Maria Teresa shows us what's left of the local school. These were notebooks, she says, and folders, all the utilities we had for the new school year. The government is saying it will guarantee that students will be back in class for the start of the new year on March 1st. But Maria says there are more urgent problems.
We didn't expect this. It's truly sad for everyone. But we have students whose house burned down and they were left with nothing. It's terrible.
In nearby Choroico, Guillermo Concha's campsite has been burned to rubble. He says he and his family depended on it.
35 years of sacrifice gone. Nothing we can do about it, brother. On top of it, I hurt my arm. Thank God I'm alive and saved part of our house using a hose and buckets. It was the longest night of my life.
President Gabriel Boric announced a midnight curfew in the areas where a state of emergency is in place to help with the operations through the night. While weather conditions are mostly to blame, he says at least 28 people have been arrested for allegedly starting some of the fires.
Local authorities say that there could be people who intentionally started some of the fires. And this has to be investigated in a rigorous and firm manner. Because if someone has been purposely causing this, they have the contempt of all of Chile. They also have to face the full force of the law.
With the winds still picking up, the outlook appears grim. Preventing the spread of the fire remains unlikely, despite hundreds of thousands of national and international firefighters at work day and night. And if weather conditions don't change, officials say it could take until mid-March to beat the flames for good.
It's now time for sports news. And now in sports news, the Zambia under-20 men's national team has gotten down to work in the chilly Ismaila weather, which is hovering between 8 to 12 degrees Celsius. Coach Chisimbewe and his technical bench led the lads through the passes at pristine Tulip for Sun Resort pitch within the hotel premises. The training is also an opportunity to dust off the debility from the long flight from Dakar and focus on the job at hand. The team will play 2 more friendly matches in Ismaila with 2 tournament participating teams, which are Uganda and South Sudan. A 23-member squad is holed up in Ismaila and will be trimmed to 21 for the final tournament. And still in sports, and in international sports, a former professional rugby player from South Africa was shot by police months after moving to Hawaii, suffered from a degenerative brain disease often found in American football players and other athletes subjected to repeated head trauma, autopsy results show. The finding could help explain Lindani Mieni's bizarre behavior before the deadly 2021 confrontation with Honolulu officers. The finding also offers another layer of detail about the shooting that gained international attention during heightened calls for police reform following the 2020 murder of George Floyd by Minneapolis police officers. More in this report.
On April 14, 2021, South African Lindani Mieni was shot dead after U.S. police in Hawaii were called for a home invasion. It has been revealed he suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE.
The case of Mr. Mieni was simple. If I just diagnose the cause of death and determine the manner of death. But the circumstances were very complex. There was some circumstantial information and test results that made me wonder about CTE. And the first, his behavior and actions were bizarre. And the second, it did not appear autopsy or toxicology results, or even his medical history explained the bizarre behavior.
The 29-year-old was a former professional rugby player and father of 2. He had stage 3 out of 4 CTE, a disease diagnosed posthumously only.
Individuals who are found to have stage 3 CTE tend to have problems with impulsivity, problems with controlling their behavior, problems with depression. Oftentimes individuals experience anxiety, and sometimes folks have paranoia or delusions.
Mieni's widow filed a wrongful death lawsuit. A civil trial is scheduled later this year.
It's kind of like someone telling you, like, your husband was murdered, but now we found out he had stage 3 cancer or something. But or maybe it's more like stage 1 cancer, because the average life expectancy when I was looking it up is 51 years for this disease. So it was kind of devastating because it felt like someone was telling me, like, hey, he died from racism at 29, but he was going to be killed from his favorite sport at 50 or 51 anyway. To me, it still doesn't answer any questions as to why you would shoot him, you know?
On that sporting note, we've come to the end of Camnet Television News, but we'll look at the top stories once again. Over 300 families affected by floods in MUMBWA district may need relief food. Government challenged to ensure a timely release of CDF in 2023. Former UPND Alliance member MUSENGE says President Hakainde Hichilema has abandoned his partners. In international news, a known disease kills at least 10 in Equatorial Guinea. And in sports news, South African rugby player killed by Hawaii police had CTE. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Ephesians 4 verse 29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.